All right, Central Texas friends and Brazos Valley fans, well, a good Friday night to you. We're still here live with you at, what is it now, almost 11:15 here. I've dubbed this the little storm that could. So basically, here's what's happened. Here's the situation, the sit rep. Is we had the storm that developed in Hill County right around 7:30, made its way all the way into Limestone and Freestone counties. As it did so, it really fell apart once it interacted with some outflow from another storm. But as the storm back built to the west, there is a new cell that has developed and continues to show signs of the severe weather that we expect here. So severe thunderstorm warning still in effect. Now it has crossed into Freestone County, and soon it will cross into Leon County, as it has made that prototypical right turn that these storms do tend to take. A little right moving action will take that hail core just to the west of Buffalo here momentarily. You can see where that hail is. First we look at the winds though, because that was the last tool that we used. And you can see there is still some strong wind on the leading edge of this storm down 79 there coming out of Buffalo. And you can see those strongest winds are down here. Still some very broad scale rotation within this storm. Keeps tightening up, and that's why we continue to watch this storm, is because for moments we'll see this rotation really tighten up and then it'll broaden out again. So again, it's kind of pulsing on us just a little bit here. So that's the situation right now. If you're in areas like Marlin, or if you're in Waco, even as far to the southwest as Bruce Valletta, you might be feeling some of the effects of those strong outflow winds that are coming out of this storm. That does not mean there is something heading towards you. If you're in Waco, a little light rainfall falling there. But again, this continues to be the storm that we're watching and monitoring. Again, if there's an area of rotation, it's going to be in this area right here where you see those greens and reds coming together, as you've come to know very well over the last 72 hours or so. And again, we've been watching these storms for the better part of the last 3 days. This is the only one really in the area that's of any concern. And if we can go ahead and take a look inside at the hail situation right now, that's really diminished. So that's what we're dealing with right now, up to about 6/10 of an inch, a little bit bigger than a nickel or a dime to nickel sized hail is what we're seeing. Pocket change within this storm just to the west of Buffalo. And because it's taken that dramatic right turn, sparing Buffalo of some of that very large hail that we were seeing before. Not seeing the large hail anymore, and again, because of that right turn, it's staying west of Buffalo. But they're along 164. That hail core is still there, and it's moving down towards 79. This whole system is moving down towards Centerville. It's going to cross 79 here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. It's moving at about 30 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and put a track on it. Take the deepest part of the storm and track it all the way down to where it's headed. And again, about 30 miles per hour this storm is moving. So it's moving decently quick. And the other issue we're seeing, again, lots of rainfall, 2 3/4 inches per hour, and the storm has spent a lot of time over parts of Limestone and Freestone County. Had a flash flood warning in effect for northern Limestone County right now. It's not showing up on this particular graphic, but it is there. We are definitely still seeing that. And again, we take the track on this storm, and again, moving south-southeast. It's going to be in Centerville here by about 11:50, Doney by 11:15, Pleasant Ridge there by just about midnight. So again, we're keeping an eye on it. And that's the heaviest part of the storm. That's the hail core that's moving down, but the rest of the storm bringing pretty heavy rain, brief heavy rainfall inside this storm, again, just to the west of Buffalo there, moving off to the southeast, basically right along and just to the west of I-45. So tracking now the rainiest part of this storm as well. You're going to see Jewett there by about 11:18, Centerville by 11:36, Middleton 11:50, Ash by 11:57, a little after midnight there in Mapleton, Midway by 12:13, and then through Weldon by about 12:20. That is, of course, as it crosses the Trinity River into Houston County there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. A couple of things that would cause us to kind of let this storm go is if it dissipates below severe levels, or if it kind of moves out of our viewing area into what would be either East Texas or the Houston market. That then becomes something that they will take a look at. But this is going to move right through Leon County here over the next hour or so. So that's why we're continuing to track it. If it does drop below severe levels, it should stay that way. We are now after 11, we're past 11:15. We're running out of energy here. Not us, I mean the atmosphere. I got plenty of energy. I could go all night if I had to. But the atmosphere is running out of energy here with these storms as we get a little bit cooler through the night. And there's a ton of outflow just flowing out of a lot of these storms. So the atmosphere should be less conducive here as we head into the late night hours here over the next hour or so. Let's take a look at the hail again, because that'll be a telltale sign if the storm is intensifying or dissipating here. If we see the hail core has shrunken and we see those hail sizes have gone down, then that would be a pretty good indication that the storm is running out of steam, which I would have thought would have happened a long time ago. Again, looks basically the same. You can see that hail core again moving off to the south, southeast, still right around 6/10, 7/10. They're right around the size of a nickel with the heaviest hail inside this storm, and again staying to the west of Buffalo. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Keep us up on your live stream on kcentv.com, on the 6 News app, or on Facebook Live, and we'll stay with you until, of course, this threat has passed. Likely not going to break into TV. Haven't had to break into TV all day, and honestly, unless this develops into a tornadic situation, which I don't see happening, doesn't mean it can't. I don't necessarily have a lot of faith this would turn into a tornadic situation. That is the only reason why we would cut into programming at this point. So, but we will continue to babysit and monitor this storm here. This warning goes until midnight. There's a chance, though, as long as this storm stays below severe levels, they could cancel this warning. Otherwise, it will expire there at midnight. So we'll continue watching. Stay with us here. It should be close to the end of this particular set of activity. Of course, we'll just turn around and have storms again as we head into next week. I don't have a lot of confidence in storms for the weekend. Best chances will be for tomorrow. In fact, there is a really high risk for tornadic activity north of the Red River up in Oklahoma for tomorrow afternoon. Some of the southern extent of that activity could sneak into central Texas, could be strong to severe at times. However, it will be isolated, and it will be likely short-lived, unlike what we've seen today, which has been, again, a fairly long-lived system. Looks to me like this storm is trying to exhaust itself just a little bit here. Again, don't have necessarily the tight-looking supercell structure that we always look for, and you can see that hail core is diminishing in size. It's still there, but it is getting smaller geographically, I mean, and then we are kind of seeing this storm just kind of balloon out, which is another tendency they have when they start to reach the end of their life cycle. So still keeping an eye on it. I'm not comfortable leaving this alone until after the severe thunderstorm warning is either canceled or expired. Want to stay with you throughout that. So stay with us on the stream, and we will stay here for the next several minutes. Hey friends, real quick, I did mention when I was on screen just a couple of minutes ago that we are under a flash flood warning as well. You can see that area is going to be for northern Limestone and Freestone counties. That's behind the storm. The heaviest of the rain has moved out of that warned area, so that's good news, obviously. The bad news is that a few storms have developed behind that main storm, and so there is more rain potentially incoming for that flash flood warned area. So this includes Mexia. It includes Highway 14, Highway 84, Highway 171, and of course any of the smaller county roads that crisscross in between these highways, all within this flash flood warned area. So Definitely worth paying attention. Turn around, don't drown, of course, because there could be some washed out roadways at this point with the flash flood warning in place, with just the sheer amount of rain that's fallen with this storm system. So keep that in mind. In terms of what's going to happen next, we are seeing a few showers and storms behind this main storm, but hopefully they don't exacerbate the problems too much. We do want to see the rain come to an end in these flood-warned areas. The key to remember here is it's 11:20. There probably shouldn't be a lot of travel occurring at this point, but if you are coming back from any sort of evening activities, late night activities, it's dark. And when you get into the more rural areas of, say, Limestone or Freestone County, it's dark. If the road's flooded out in front of you, you may not see it. So just drive with caution. If you find yourself driving into any flooded roadways, back up. I know in some cases this isn't possible, but find an alternate route if you can, just to ensure that you're not driving into water where you may not necessarily be able to gauge the depth due to the fact that it is nighttime out there across the area. So just a friendly reminder. Another look at this storm, and I told you, it's getting too late at night. These storms, I mean, they have a bedtime, so to speak. Once you start losing the heat of the day, once you start running into the outflow boundaries from some of these other storms, there's all sorts of things that can bring these storms to an end. Courtney Largent saying so much lightning in Buffalo. Yeah, I believe it. Definitely. In fact, let's turn the lightning on this storm. And you can see plenty of lightning strikes occurring with this still severe thunderstorm. The warning's still on it. I don't know if the severe parameters are still there, though. So, the warning is set to expire at midnight. Whether it gets canceled early, that would be nice. Do have to mention that the little cell in southwest Navarro County, south of Richland, potentially dropping some small hail as well, up to potentially a ½ an inch in diameter. Let's check on that. You can see it right there, just to the west of 14. That one dropping a little bit of hail. This is pocket change size hail. This is not severe hail. But again, I say it all the time, you don't want to be outside in hail. I don't care how big it is. It still hurts when it falls on your head. It's likely not going to cause damage to property at ½ an inch or ¼ of an inch, but again, it's worth mentioning, don't be outside in the hail. Near Buffalo, that hail core down to about 4/10 of an inch, so definitely losing steam here. All right, still watching this storm move out of Buffalo into Leon County. Well, technically Buffalo's in Leon County. Moving into Leon County through Buffalo, you can see lightning occurring with this storm. Right now, lightning and rain seem to be the big players in this one. We're still watching that hail core, but honestly, 4/10 of an inch or smaller. Not huge. This storm has definitely been showing signs of weakening here in the recent past, over the last hour or so. As long as it continues to do that, we're getting close to a point. You can even see the lightning is starting to diminish as this storm loses some of its steam. So we're going to let this go another probably 10 or 15 minutes. But if this storm keeps showing these signs of weakening, we're getting pretty close to the end of today's severe weather event. We're definitely in a week when we have to use terms like today's severe weather event. Elsewhere across the area, we had those storms develop, and I mentioned right around 8 or 9 o'clock that we were going to need to watch them coming out of Comanche and Brownwood, and they very quickly bit the dust. Once they got off the dry line, there was just not a lot to work with for those storms because it was so late. I mean, that was 9, 10 o'clock in its own right. This storm over here in Leon County now is a little bit of an anomalous storm, as it's held together really well. Basically, as it moves south, remember earlier we talked about how the storm out in front kind of fizzled out when it ran into that outflow. Well, since this storm has made a right turn and is actually heading south, it's actually heading into those southeast winds. It's heading into more moisture flow, which is how it's been able to really maintain its strength over the course of the last couple of hours. That's what happens when you have some serious Gulf moisture flowing in this evening. But notice the wind field is kind of all over the place right now. Lots of storms kind of really creating an interesting kind of varied wind field across the area tonight. Hey, Courtney, saw your question. After this storm passes through, potentially a few more rain showers and maybe some pocket change sized hail with this activity you see up towards southern Navarro County and towards Fairfield there in Freestone County. That is primarily just rain. The strongest thing that we have going right now is still the one that is pushing past Buffalo. Once we get past this, we should be in store for just some additional rain showers, maybe some pocket change sized hail with the storm to the north. This is the one of concern, though, and it's unfortunately it's been the one of concern for the better part of the last 3 hours. It refuses to run out of steam, but beyond this, just a little bit of rain, and then we'll re-rack a little bit tomorrow afternoon with a chance for some stronger thunderstorms. But I don't think it'll be like today. In fact, you can already see this storm near Wortham ramping up a little bit again. Not too crazy there. Probably hail with a diameter of 0.2 pea-sized hail in that storm. But the storm down near Buffalo, I mean, it's showing an increasing trend with the rain and potentially with the hail in the middle of the storm as well over the last scan. We're just waiting for this storm to not exist anymore. But it continues on. And if you can tell by the exasperation of my voice, this is not something that we expected with this particular storm. But yeah, the short answer to your question is beyond this storm, we should be able to call it a night for the most part. Hey, Jennifer. So saw your question about Reagan. Likely not. May get a few showers here. There's a few showers developing out near Waco. But as far as the heaviest stuff is staying to the east, it's staying along I-45 right now. So you might get a few showers here over the next hour to hour and a half. But they look to be staying fairly calm. Again, this has been an interesting setup tonight where at this point we would have expected most of the storms to come to an end. And you can see over the last several scans, over the last couple of hours, everything is diminishing in strength. I'm going to keep an eye on these storms near Waco though, these showers near Waco. I can't even say storms because as we look at them, you see there's not even any lightning strikes associated with them. I'm going to keep an eye on them, but everything is going through a general diminishing trend because of the late hour. And so we're gonna keep an eye on it, but I don't anticipate you'll get much more than maybe some rain at the most in Reagan. Potentially some pocket change sized hail. You know, we're talking nickels and dimes there. Hey, no worries. It's absolutely what we're here for. That's why we got into the business, was to keep people informed, to keep them safe for sure. And Courtney's saying, finally seeing rain, tiny hail just west of Buffalo. Yeah, this storm, despite the fact that it's got a 30-mile-an-hour forward motion, it is kind of sitting still a little bit. And so, yeah, near Buffalo, that's where we're kind of seeing the heaviest of it. Yeah, and you can see there, yeah, I think you said it right, Courtney. Tiny hail. It is pretty tiny. It looks like probably no greater than a half an inch, yeah, up to dimes, basically. Take that hail core a little while to get down to towards Buffalo and Jewett there. Also starting to really see the breadth of this storm diminish in terms of just its geographic spread. It is getting smaller, thankfully. Again, just a reminder to anybody still on the stream, looks like we've got 14 of you right now on Facebook, possibly a few more than that on the 6 News app, and of course on kcentv.com. I don't have it in front of me to check the metrics on that though, so all I know is there are 14 people currently, 20 now on Facebook. Do want to remind everybody, if you're in Limestone or Freestone County, or you have to travel 84, you have to travel 171, you have to travel 14, keep in mind there is still that flash flood warning in effect. Hopefully we get that water to recede just a little bit here as the rain has stayed away from that general area for the last couple of hours, or last hour or so, but could still be some flooded roadways across parts of Limestone and Freestone County, so keep that in mind. Just drive with caution, especially at night. Definitely in the dark won't be able to discern necessarily how deep that water is, especially if you're traveling over unfamiliar roadways. If you're traveling over a familiar roadway, you might know, hey, there's going to be a dip there, but don't try to guess the depth of the water. Just if you notice it's getting deeper, just make sure that you're turning around. Amber, as far as Gatesville is concerned, maybe a few showers. That's about it. And everything kind of taking on just a general diminishing trend in the last couple of hours. If you're in Gatesville, you might get hit with a shower. It all depends. When I see things like this towards Evant and Adamsville, that screams a false return. So it's entirely as likely that you won't see any showers in Gatesville, just based on what I'm looking at right here. Most of the activity is actually east of Gatesville, but again, I wouldn't be surprised by a shower or two coming through here over the course of the evening. But for the most part, I-45 has been where we've seen the strongest storms. No worries. Still plenty of lightning with the storm, but I'm going to turn off the lightning signatures so that we can actually see what's happening within the storm here. Because right now there is enough lightning that it is a little bit of a jumbled mess. Don't want to leave out our friends in Jewett, of course. That hail core kind of moving over Jewett. Again, pocket change sized hail, dimes and nickels. Probably more likely peas and dimes than dimes and nickels, but you can see to the west of town there some slightly larger hail, potentially up as high as maybe 3/4 of an inch. I'll check this bullseye over here, over near Lake, what I believe is Lake Limestone. Yeah, up close to an inch. And again, all of this is moving off to the southeast right now. All right, so again, don't want to leave anybody out of our conversation tonight as we continue to track these storms through central Texas. A little bit of activity now in McLennan County. We were seeing it diminish, kind of picking up a little bit now. It's not necessarily thunderstorm activity. In fact, as we turn on our lightning, not seeing any lightning with these storms, just rain showers, but they're picking up a little bit. If you're in Moody, expect potentially some moderate rainfall here in the next few minutes. Waco, it's past you, moving down towards Marlin on Highway 6 as well. But again, some potential moderate rain here, something that we're going to keep an eye on here. Likeliest reasoning for these storms would be that they are developing on the outflow boundary from the other very strong storms out to the east. But we'll keep an eye on that as well, as they do appear to be growing in strength right now. And there you have that, the severe thunderstorm warning for our little Thomas the Tank Engine that could, little storm that was going through Leon County. The severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. I had a feeling it would be, because we saw about 30 minutes worth of data there where everything was getting smaller and smaller and diminishing. But of course, at the end of the day, these watches and warnings are issued for protection, for safety, and as we have all seen and as we all know with these storms, they do tend to pulse. They go down, they go back up, so you want to give it a little while of making sure these diminishing returns continue, and they have continued, and the storm has diminished below severe level. If you're in Centerville, If you're along anywhere in Leon County right now where you're seeing this storm, could still see some pocket change size tail, those dimes and nickels that we always talk about, peas, dimes, nickels. I know peas aren't money, I know it's not pocket change, but it's still small. But that's possible. Brief, heavy rain, especially for those of you that are in Centerville here in the next few minutes will begin. So that's what we're dealing with at this point, but you can see the storm getting smaller and smaller with each progressive scan. It is starting to fall apart a little bit. So severe thunderstorm warning is canceled. That means we will go ahead and we will bring our live stream to an end. Still,
I just want to mention something also, because finally, luckily, we're not under any more severe thunderstorm warnings tonight, but tomorrow we could still have the chance for more rain. And this is meteorologist Aviana Smith here speaking. So I will have your weekend weather update tomorrow around lunchtime, talking about more possible severe storms later on this evening. And of course, we will be live at 6 and 10 for more weekend weather. So be sure to join us then, also to keep informed on another chance for storms moving into the area.
yeah, absolutely. That's one thing we haven't really talked about is the forecast. We've been so in severe weather mode that we haven't really been able to talk about your forecast. So real quick before we jump out of here, for those of you that are still with us, and we appreciate, of course, you staying with us, do want to talk about your Memorial Day weekend. I know a lot of people probably have those outdoor plans. Couple of things to mention. One is, as Aviana just said, storms possible tomorrow afternoon. About a 20% coverage is what we're looking at there. It should be isolated to scattered. Some of them could be strong though, especially when you factor in how hot and humid it's going to be. 94, going to feel like 104. So any storms that develop could turn strong on us, obviously. Sunday, we're basically taking the rain out of the forecast. It's the first day in a while where we haven't had really chances to look at, but the problem there is, and I know a lot of people, when we talk about Memorial Day weekend, those Memorial Day get-togethers are definitely usually happen on Sundays because most people have that Monday off of work. It's going to feel like it's 107 out there. Your beverage of choice on Sunday should absolutely be water. Because obviously caffeine has a dehydrating effect on it. Just make sure you're drinking plenty of water on Sunday. Because I know for us Texans, 95 with a heat index of 107, it's not the most uncommon thing in the world. We see this a lot. However, I would encourage you to remember that it is still May. We haven't really had the heat yet this year. We've had 1 or 2 days here or there. There is some truth to the idea that your body has to acclimate to this heat, and so keep in mind that this is early season heat. Those first few times you experience those heat index values, it's gonna be a shock to the system. So keep that in mind. Just limit activity as best you can. Water, of course. And then by Monday, by Memorial Day itself, we're still gonna be warm. We're still gonna be humid, but we do bring some rain, shower, and thunderstorm chances back into the forecast for your Monday evening as another front moves towards the area. And this time, my friends, this front will have an impact on us. Will actually be a little bit less humid, a little bit cooler. I say cool, it's still gonna be in the upper 80s by the time we reach midweek. So that's great news as well. Before we jump out of here tonight, do want to take one last look at your live Doppler radar just to see where we are with the storms. The one over near Centerville is kind of in its death throes at this point. My only concern is we are still seeing that activity really pick up near Mart. I can't imagine these storms will be able to survive much longer. They are building on the outflow from that other storm. The environment at this point should not be that conducive to storm growth. Turn the lightning back on just to make sure, yeah, we're not getting any bolts with these storms, just rain showers. So at this point, I know Melissa, our intrepid digital producer, basically the leader of our digital department, staying up with us tonight. And of course, our appreciation to you, Melissa, for doing that. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and say our goodnights and our goodbyes, almost our good mornings. And we'll be back with you tomorrow as Aviana guides you through 6 news at 6 and 10 on your Saturday, 5 and 10 on your Sunday. And I'll be back with you on Memorial Day myself. So until then, have a great night. And again, thanks for staying with us. We appreciate it.
Have a great night, y'all.